That is what we've been working on. That's what we've talked about several different times. So where do we stand on that? We are still working on the LOI, the letter of intent. The letter of intent will include an Annex A. That Annex A outlines all properties on the ranch that will be transitioned from Silverleaf or their different disparate entities over to you, Holly Lake Ranch. Once we get that done, we will hold an information campaign, and we're going to share everything. If you want to talk for 5 minutes about it, great. If you want to talk for 5 hours about it, great. We'll talk for 5 hours about it. But then it has to go to a vote. So we will be asking all of you to either vote yay or nay based on the terms of the LOI. And you're going to say, Adam, but terms of an LOI are non-binding. You are correct. The terms of an LOI are non-binding. But our intent is to make the LOI replicate to the greatest degree possible what that contract will be. So when you vote, it will be, I vote to accept the terms of the LOI, and any like terms in the contract, any substantial changes will require a revote. So why are we doing this? Because it's time. It's time. So that's where we're at on that. Once we get it, we'll get it formalized, we'll get it out, we will start informing everybody, and then we will ask you to vote. Do you want your ranch to be whole and own the golf course and this building and the grounds and all those things, or do you not? Yes or no? So that's where we're at with Silverleaf. Project plan, I mentioned this a couple of times, but Chad is working on a 5-year kind of project plan for us. So it would be more in line with our fences. When and how are we going to replace all of our exterior fences? What about the refurbishment of all of our interior buildings, our drainage and erosion? All of these different things that go in that need to be overlaid so we can holistically look at what we're doing now and into the future and ensure that we're doing it in the correct order based on the appropriate priorities. And then finally, our adaptive communication strategy is the last item on there. We send out a weekly email on Friday. We send out an events email on Wednesday. We have a newsletter. We have a website. We have all these different things. But the thing I hear consistently is that's not where folks are. They're on Facebook. So we are looking at different opportunities and ways that maybe Facebook becomes relevant with our communication. It would not be a place for online debate. I'm not an online debater. It would be simply a one-way transfer of information with no ability to comment, no ability to direct message, none of that stuff. And it's not because I don't want to have a conversation with you, but I'm of the firm belief that if your conversation is meaningful and you truly want an answer from me, you know exactly where I work, you know what my email is, I'm happy to meet with you, let's have the conversation, but online is not the place for that. So as we look at this, we don't want to just bolt that on. We want to look at this communication strategy and make sure that it meets the intent of which we're going for. So it's going to take us a little bit of time, but we want it to be meaningful when it comes out instead of just kind of throwing it out there and seeing what sticks. So with that, I will turn it over to Stacy.
Yes, I'd like to add something. Can you hear me, Brittany? Okay. Add something about communication. It's the goal of our board of directors to communicate as completely as possible with residents when questions or concerns are brought to our attention. We have several avenues for communication, including email, open meetings, and that's not all. You can also, call, things like that. Each of the elected board members has different expertise and different things we bring to the table that afford us the ability to discuss and to come up with all aspects, or at least most aspects of the issues that we address. Much thought and discussion is put into every decision and every response that we make. One of the questions I have heard asked quite often to me, multiple times a week, is why does the board not respond to anything on social media? Our internal board policy is to abstain from discussing or replying to HLRA board or administrative related matters on social media, including, but not limited to, Nextdoor and Facebook. At this time, there are no official HLRA social media outlets other than the YouTube channel where these videos are posted. I did a little bit of research on social media platforms used in the United States. I found Facebook, Nextdoor, YouTube, Snapchat, Twitter, Instagram, WhatsApp, TikTok, Reddit, Pinterest, and others. This is not an all-inclusive list. As a practical matter, it would be virtually impossible to monitor every social media outlet for questions, take the matter to the board to discuss, find the original post and provide a factual response. Then you must consider follow-up questions and additional questions and comments that might arise. It's also critical to consider that many times social media has not proven to be a good vehicle for open dialogues and discussions. We have found that feedback at hollylakeinfo.com is one of the best avenues for communication, as it allows administration to discern whether issues are administrative in nature or governance in nature. Administrative items are addressed by administration, governance items are addressed by the board. This allows us to think, discuss, and respond. Open meetings allow for dialogue with our members. It's important to remember that we may not always have the answers you want immediately at hand. When we ask you to follow up with an email via feedback, it's not our intention to avoid the question, but rather to provide a vehicle to track the question and respond fully. Hopefully this will help to clarify not just what our avenues of communication are, but also why we have chosen those avenues of communication. Any questions on that? I mean, I really think there's a lot. I get asked this question enough that I felt like it deserved a response publicly, and it'll be on YouTube forever so everybody can.
I make a motion we accept the dredging proposal for board restricted funds of $190,000 with the understanding that we will clarify protection of our roads, protection of our golf course, silt fences, hay bale containments, and what kind of vehicles they'll use to transport the dredging materials to its final resting locations.
And Mark, I'll second that opinion and our motion, and see if there's any discussion.
I think we need to clarify for discussion that this is board restricted funds for fourth quarter of 2023.
That's correct.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, number 8, is mine. In accordance with HLR financial policies and procedures, the board president and treasurer are to serve as signatory authorities for all banking institutions. Due to a change in banking requirements, simply listing the officer positions is insufficient. As such, the following action is made to comply with the banking requirements in order to rectify the signatory authorities in accordance with the HLRA financial policies and procedures. I make the following statement to be recorded in the meeting minutes. Remove Stacy Fink as a signatory authority from all HLRA accounts at Origin Bank and CMB due to her transition of officer positions from treasurer to vice president. Add Mark Allen as a signatory authority to all HLRA accounts housed at Origin Bank and CMB due to his officer position as treasurer. All accounts at Origin Bank include the operating account, accounts payable, payroll, MasterCard Visa, ePay, golf course reserve fund, principal reserve fund, emergency reserve fund, and all associated ICS accounts. All accounts at CMB include the general fund. Before we move to property owner questions and comments, I want to thank not just our staff, but all of the volunteers that came. We had Fall Fest on October the 28th. We had many resident volunteers. We had people who brought golf carts. handed out candy. We had people that came inside and were asked to do things they might not have been comfortable with when our face painter didn't show up, because we had an office emergency and Denise was unable to attend. And so we, as a staff and as a community and as a board, pulled together. And I think I just want to personally thank each and every one of you, those that volunteered to help, those of you that came out just to visit. Thank my husband for manning the grill. I apologize for saying you weren't a good grill master, but I'll go on record as rescinding that comment. But I want to thank everybody that made that day an absolute success. And at this point, we'll open up for property owner questions and comments. If you would, when you have a question or comment, if you come to the microphone, state your name and your section.
Hi, I'm David Woodson. Is this on? Yes, it's on. I just wanted to know if anybody wanted an, excuse me, guys. I just wanted to know if anybody wanted an update on the fire that recently happened and where those people are in trying to recover from this. If you do, I have that information as being their next door neighbor, and can share that with you. Would anybody need that? Go ahead and update. Okay, all right. What happened from beginning? On Saturday, about 5:30 in the afternoon, the people that live in the house, which are Fontaine and Shane Ambort, had left to go to the store. Not Family Dollar, the gross. Yeah, store. Okay, store. Anyway, Paula was on the front porch, saw him leave, and Paula's my lovely wife. I won't ask her to stand. And she heard a loud bang, and she looked over next door, and saw flames. She called the fire department. She called Fontaine and Shane on their cell phone. They were up at the grocery store and came immediately back. She called our security department. And then